The wind moved slowly through the broken city, carrying ash instead of dust. What had once been a human colony now looked like the bones of something long dead. Towers leaned at strange angles. Metal walls were burned black. The sky above was dark red, thick with smoke that never fully cleared. No birds flew there. No machines hummed. Only silence remained. Daniel Reed walked carefully between the ruins. Every step mattered. One wrong move could bring down loose metal or cracked stone. He held his breath each time the ground shifted under his boots. His body was tired, far beyond tired, but he kept moving. On his back, tied with a torn fabric strap, slept his daughter. Emma was small, too small for the heavy world around her. Her face was pale, her lips dry. She had not eaten since the day before. Daniel could feel her slow breathing through his jacket, and that alone kept him going. As long as she breathed, he would not stop. The colony had fallen 3 days ago. No warning came, no chance to escape. One moment there were lights, voices, normal life. The next, the sky burned, and alien ships filled the air. Weapons struck the ground with terrible force. Buildings collapsed like paper. People ran, screamed, vanished. Daniel remembered holding Emma close as the ground shook. He remembered promising her that everything would be fine, even though he did not believe it himself. Now there was nothing left. Daniel stopped near the remains of a supply station. The door was half melted, bent outward by heat. Inside, shelves were empty. Someone had already been there, probably desperate, probably dead now. He stepped back into the open street and leaned against a broken wall. His legs shook. Hunger twisted deep inside his stomach, sharp and painful. He reached into his coat with slow fingers. The ration pack was still there. One small meal. Dense, dry, tasteless. Enough for one person. Maybe enough to keep Emma alive one more day. Daniel closed his eyes. He had planned this carefully. Emma would eat tonight. He would not. He had done that before. A father could survive hunger longer than a child. That was simple truth. He took a breath and opened his eyes again. That was when the ground trembled. At first, Daniel thought it was another aftershock from the attack. The planet was unstable now. Explosions had cracked its surface. But this was different. The vibration was slow, heavy, like something massive was moving beneath the ruins. Daniel turned slowly. A shadow slid across the broken street. It was not from the sky. It came from between the buildings. Something large moved through the smoke. The air felt thicker, heavier. A deep sound followed, low and rough, like strained breathing. Daniel's heart began to pound. He reached back, gripping Emma's leg gently, as if to protect her with touch alone. She did not wake. Then the creature stepped into view. It was enormous. A dragon. Not a storybook dragon. Not something simple or clean. This was an alien dragon, shaped by war and hunger. Her body was covered in dark scales, cracked and burned in places. One wing dragged behind her, torn and bleeding. Her long neck curved low, her head held close to the ground. Her eyes were the most terrifying part. They glowed faintly, a dull amber light, full of pain and exhaustion. Not rage, not hunger alone. Suffering. Daniel could not move. Every part of his mind screamed at him to run, to hide, to scream, to do anything except stand there like prey. But his legs refused to obey. The dragon took another step forward. Stone shattered under her claw. Her tail dragged through debris, sending sparks into the air. She stopped only a few meters away, close enough to kill him in a heartbeat. Emma shifted on his back, making a soft sound in her sleep. The dragon's head lifted slightly. Her nostrils flared. Daniel knew what she smelled. Food, fear, life. He waited for the roar, the fire, the sudden end. None came. Instead, the dragon's stomach growled. The sound was deep and hollow, echoing off the ruined walls. It was not a threat. It was weak, empty. The dragon lowered her head further. Her claws dug into the ground, not to attack, but to hold herself up. Her breathing became rougher. She was starving. Daniel's thoughts raced. He had heard stories before the war. Stories about dragon species, living weapons, planet killers, creatures that consumed entire cities to survive. This one looked like she could barely stand. Their eyes met. In that moment, Daniel saw something that made his breath catch. She was afraid. Not of him, of dying. Daniel's hand tightened around the ration pack inside his coat. His last meal. The only food left between life and death for his child. He thought of Emma waking up hungry, crying, weak. He thought of himself growing weaker, slower, unable to protect her tomorrow. The dragon shifted again, her claws scraping the stone. Her mouth opened slightly, revealing long, sharp teeth. Heat shimmered between them. Daniel took a slow step forward. His heart felt like it would burst from his chest. Every instinct told him this was madness. Still, he stepped closer. He slipped the strap from his shoulder and gently lowered Emma to the ground, keeping her wrapped in his jacket. He placed her behind a piece of fallen metal, just enough to hide her small body. Then he stood alone, facing the dragon. Daniel reached into his coat and pulled out the ration pack. The dragon's eyes locked onto it instantly. He could feel his hands shaking, but he did not stop. He knelt down on the cracked ground, slowly, carefully, making sure the dragon could see every movement. He placed the ration pack on the ground between them. Then he pushed it forward. The wind carried the dry scent of human food. The dragon froze. Her head lowered until it was almost level with Daniel's face. He could see scars along her jaw, old burns across her neck. This was a creature that had fought and survived many battles. She stared at the food, then at Daniel. Then, slowly, carefully, she reached out with one claw. Daniel did not move. The claw hooked the ration pack and pulled it closer. The dragon sniffed it once, then opened her mouth and swallowed it whole. The sound was quiet, almost gentle. When it was gone, the dragon did not attack. She did not move at all. Daniel remained kneeling, his body finally shaking from hunger and fear, his vision blurred. Giving away the food had taken what little strength he had left. The dragon's eyes softened. She lowered herself to the ground, her massive body curling slightly. One wing shifted and spread out, blocking the cold wind from reaching Daniel and the sleeping child behind him. Daniel collapsed forward, catching himself on his hands. He was still alive. The dragon closed her eyes. And in the ashes of a dead world, a human father and a starving alien dragon shared the silence of survival. The night passed slowly. Daniel did not remember falling asleep. One moment he was kneeling on the cold ground, his body shaking from hunger and fear, and the next, darkness took him. When he woke, the sky was still red. Ash drifted down like snow, settling on broken metal and burned stone. His mouth was dry. His stomach ached, sharp and empty. For a terrifying second, he forgot where he was. Then he heard the breathing. Deep, slow, heavy. Daniel froze. The dragon lay only a few meters away. Her massive body was curled around the ruins like a living wall. One wing was stretched outward, resting between Daniel, Emma, and the open street. The torn edges of the wing were still bleeding, but less than before. Dried black blood clung to her scales. She was asleep. Daniel turned his head slowly. Emma was still behind the broken metal sheet. She slept peacefully, her small hands tucked under her chin. She was alive, warm. Relief hit Daniel so hard it almost made him cry. He pushed himself up carefully, every movement slow and quiet. Hunger made his head spin, but he forced himself to stay alert. He looked around, searching for danger. Nothing moved. The dragon stirred. One eye opened. Daniel's heart jumped into his throat. The dragon did not rise. She did not growl or bare her teeth. She only watched him, her amber eye calm but sharp. Daniel raised his empty hands. "I won't hurt you," he said softly, though he did not know if she could understand words. "I can't." The dragon's eye studied him for a long moment. Then she closed it again. Daniel let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Time passed. The sun never truly rose on this world anymore, but the light grew slightly brighter. Daniel gathered courage and stood fully. His legs felt weak, but they held. He walked slowly toward Emma and checked her. She was still breathing evenly. He brushed ash from her hair and whispered her name. She stirred but did not wake. A low sound came from behind him. Daniel turned. The dragon was awake now, her head lifted slightly. She watched him touch the child. Her gaze lingered there longer than anywhere else. Something changed in her eyes. Recognition. Daniel felt it then. Something strange. Something heavy in the air. Not words. Not thoughts. A feeling. The dragon understood what Emma was. A child. The dragon shifted her body carefully, slowly pushing herself upright. Her injured wing dragged again, making her hiss in pain. She was weaker than she looked. Every movement cost her strength. Daniel stepped back instinctively. The dragon did not move toward him. Instead, she looked past him, toward the open ruins. Then the danger came. The sound was sharp and fast. Metal claws scraped stone. High-pitched screeches cut through the silence. Daniel's blood ran cold. Scavengers. Alien hunters that followed battlefields and dead cities. Small, fast, and vicious. They hunted in packs and ate anything that still breathed. 3 of them leapt onto the street from the shadows. Then 5 more. They were thin, insect-like creatures with too many legs and glowing eyes. Their mouths clicked rapidly as they smelled flesh. They saw Daniel first. One of them lunged. The dragon moved. She rose in a single powerful motion, pain forgotten. Her body slammed down between Daniel and the creatures. The ground cracked under her weight. Her wings spread wide. She roared. The sound was deafening. Fire exploded from her mouth, a controlled burst that swept across the street. The scavengers screamed as they burned, their thin bodies turning to ash in seconds. One tried to flee. The dragon's tail snapped out and crushed it against a wall. Silence returned. Daniel stared. His hands shook. His knees nearly gave out. The dragon stood still, her body tense, scanning the ruins until she was sure nothing else remained. Then she slowly lowered herself again, positioning her body so Daniel and Emma were completely shielded behind her. She did not look at Daniel. She watched the horizon. Daniel understood then. She was guarding them. Later, when Emma woke, she did not scream. She rubbed her eyes and looked at the massive shape beside them. Her face went still, her small body tense. Daniel knelt beside her instantly. "It's okay," he whispered, though he was not sure that was true. "She won't hurt us." Emma looked at the dragon's wing, at the burns, at the blood. "She's hurt," Emma said softly. Daniel swallowed. "Yes," he replied. "She is." Emma reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, crushed piece of nutrient candy. She had saved it without him knowing. Her last one. She stood and walked slowly toward the dragon. Daniel's heart stopped. "Emma!" The dragon turned her head. Emma held out the candy with both hands. "For you," she said. The dragon stared at the tiny offering. Then, carefully, gently, she lowered her head and took it between 2 claws. She ate it slowly, as if it mattered more than food ever had. The dragon closed her eyes again. Daniel felt something break inside his chest. Far above the planet, hidden among the stars, alien sensors locked onto the scene. A message was sent across the galaxy. The Devourer lives. She has chosen a human. And the galaxy began to pay attention. The ruins did not stay quiet for long. Daniel felt it before he heard it. A pressure in the air. A strange stillness, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The dragon felt it too. Her head lifted, eyes narrowing as she stared into the red sky. Something was coming. Daniel pulled Emma close to his chest. She was awake now, watching the dragon with wide eyes but no fear. That alone amazed him. The dragon shifted her body, placing herself fully in front of them. Her tail curled behind like a living wall. She was wounded, hungry, and tired. Yet she stood tall. A low hum rolled across the sky. Daniel looked up. Dark shapes moved above the clouds. Ships, not human. Their hulls were sharp and angular, glowing faintly with blue energy. They moved in perfect formation, slow and careful. Scouting vessels. The dragon growled, deep and dangerous. Daniel's heart sank. "They're coming for you," he whispered. The dragon did not look back. She already knew. One ship broke formation and descended, hovering above the ruins. A beam of light scanned the ground, passing over broken buildings, burned streets, and then stopping on the dragon. The beam shifted slightly. It locked onto Daniel and Emma. A cold voice echoed from the ship, amplified by machines. "Human survivors detected." Another pause. "Target confirmed. Dragon-class entity present." The voice held no fear, only calculation. "Prepare containment." Daniel stepped forward before he could stop himself. "She saved us," he shouted into the empty sky. "She didn't attack. She protected us." There was no reply. Metal shapes dropped from the ship, slamming into the ground around them. Tall machines unfolded from their landing pods, their limbs ending in heavy weapons and glowing restraints. The dragon roared. She breathed fire, but it barely scratched the energy shields that snapped into place around the machines. Pain flashed across her eyes as she tried again. She was too weak, too wounded. The machines advanced. Emma clutched Daniel's arm. "They're hurting her." Daniel's mind raced. He knew these aliens, the Krell, hunters. They captured dangerous creatures and turned them into weapons or trophies. A dragon like her would be priceless. The dragon's wing buckled. She fell to one knee, struggling to stay upright. Without thinking, Daniel ran. He placed himself between the dragon and the machines. "Stop!" he yelled. "Take me instead." The machines paused. The scanning beam shifted to him. "Human interference detected," the voice said. "Remove obstacle." A weapon charged. The dragon moved faster than Daniel thought possible. Her claw wrapped around him, not tight but firm, and pulled him back against her chest. Her body shielded him completely as the weapon fired. The blast hit her scales. She screamed, not in rage, in pain. But she did not move. Emma screamed, "Daddy!" The dragon roared again, louder than before. The ground shook. The ruins cracked open as if the planet itself answered her cry. Then something unexpected happened. The sky answered back. A second roar echoed across the clouds. Then a third. Then many more. Daniel looked up in disbelief. Massive shapes descended from the red sky, dragons. Dozens of them. Some were scarred. Some were missing parts of wings. All of them were enormous. The Krell ships panicked. Energy weapons fired wildly as the dragons attacked. Fire and claws tore through shields that had never failed before. Ships exploded in the air, burning like falling stars. The lead dragon landed beside Daniel's protector. Their heads touched briefly, a silent exchange. The Krell forces retreated. Within minutes, the sky was clear. Daniel sank to his knees, shaking. The dragon he had met, the hungry one, finally collapsed, her strength gone. Daniel rushed to her side. Her breathing was shallow. Her eyes were dim. "She needs help," he whispered, though he did not know who he was speaking to. The other dragons gathered around them, forming a massive circle. Their leader stepped forward and looked down at Daniel. Her voice entered his mind, not words, but meaning. "She lives because of you. She chose you. No dragon has done this before." Daniel swallowed. "She's hurt. She's starving." The leader's gaze softened. "So were we once." The dragon lowered her massive head until her eye was level with Emma. Emma did not run. She reached out and touched the warm scales. The leader made a decision. "We will protect what she protects." High above, human rescue signals finally reached the system. When the first human ships arrived, they stopped in shock. Below them, in the ashes of a dead world, stood a ring of dragons, guarding two humans as if they were the most valuable things in the galaxy. And in that moment, humanity unknowingly gained its first and most powerful ally. The human ships did not fire. That alone shocked the dragon circle. From orbit, the human fleet had a clear view of the ruins below. Scanners showed massive heat signatures, energy levels off the scale. Any other species would have opened fire without hesitation. But the human ships stayed still. Inside the lead cruiser, Captain Elena Morris stared at the image on the main screen. Dragons. Dozens of them, all surrounding two tiny human life signs. "Confirm again," she said quietly. The officer beside her swallowed. "The dragon is shielding them, ma'am. Not attacking." Silence filled the bridge. Captain Morris had fought for 15 years. She had lost friends to alien raids and planet killers. She had learned to fear dragons long before this day. But this made no sense. "Open a channel," she said. The signal took a moment to connect. Daniel's wrist comm unit crackled to life. "This is Captain Elena Morris of the Terran Union," the voice said. "If you can hear me, identify yourself." Daniel stared at the device, then up at the sky. His throat tightened. "This is Daniel Reed," he replied. "Civilian. My daughter and I are on the surface." The captain leaned closer to the screen. "Are you being held against your will?" Daniel looked at the dragon beside him. Her massive chest rose and fell slowly. She was unconscious now, her wounds dark and deep. "No," he said. "She saved us." Murmurs spread across the human fleet. "She's injured," Daniel continued. "She's starving. The Krell attacked us. She fought them off." Captain Morris closed her eyes for a brief second. She opened them again. "Stand by," she said. "We're sending med drones." Several officers stiffened. "Ma'am, command protocols." "I know the protocols," she snapped. "And I know what I'm seeing." The med drones descended carefully, slow and unarmed. They hovered near the dragon, scanning her wounds. The surrounding dragons tensed but did not attack. The leader dragon watched closely. When the drones began applying energy seals to stop the bleeding, she allowed it. Across the galaxy, the images spread. Councils watched in disbelief. Feeds replayed again and again. A dragon protecting humans. Humans treating a dragon. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session. "This is unacceptable," one delegate hissed. "Dragons are living weapons. They cannot be trusted." Another voice replied coldly, "The humans didn't flinch. They are reckless. They are compassionate." The word echoed through the chamber like a weapon. Back on the surface, Emma sat beside the dragon's head, humming softly. The sound was small and gentle. The dragon's breathing eased. Daniel watched in silence. He did not feel like a hero. He felt tired, empty, afraid of what would come next. The leader dragon approached him once more. "You fed her when you had nothing." The voice pressed gently into his mind. "Why?" Daniel hesitated. "Because she was hungry," he said simply. "And she didn't deserve to die." The leader dragon lowered her head. "This is why the galaxy fears you." Above them, the human fleet repositioned, not to attack but to shield. Other empires noticed. And for the first time in recorded history, the galaxy began to ask a dangerous question. What happens when humans choose kindness over fear? The answer was coming. The galaxy did not wait long to respond. Within hours, emergency transmissions flooded every known channel. Empires that had watched dragons burn worlds now watched them stand still, protecting humans. Fear spread faster than fire ever could. The Galactic Council reconvened, this time with full authority. Holograms filled the vast chamber. Species of every shape and size spoke at once, voices sharp with panic. "They are manipulating the humans," one delegate shouted. "This is a trick," another said. "Dragons only protect what they intend to consume later." At the center of the chamber, the High Arbiter raised a claw for silence. "There is only one acceptable solution," the Arbiter declared. "The dragon must be destroyed." Immediately, the decision passed. An execution fleet was assembled. Back on the ruined world, Daniel felt it before he heard it. The leader dragon stiffened. The others lifted their heads, eyes turning toward deep space. They knew. The dragon Daniel had saved was awake now, barely. Her eyes opened as the sky darkened. Massive warships emerged from hyperspace. Not Krell. Council ships. Their weapons powered up, energy levels spiking high enough to crack continents. Human commanders froze. Captain Morris slammed her fist on the console. They're going to kill her. Orders flashed across the fleet. Stand down. Do not interfere. Daniel's comm unit activated again. Daniel Reed, a cold voice said. This is the Galactic Council. Step away from the dragon. Daniel looked at Emma. She clutched his hand tightly. No, he said. Pause. You do not understand the threat you are protecting, the voice continued. That creature has destroyed civilizations. Daniel took a deep breath. She saved mine, he replied. The sky rumbled as weapons charged. The leader dragon stepped forward, wings spreading wide. The other dragons followed, forming a living shield around the injured one. Daniel stepped forward too. He stood alone between fleets and monsters, a single human against the weight of the galaxy. She was hungry, he said, his voice shaking but strong. I gave her food. She gave us life. If you kill her, you'll have to go through us. Captain Morris broke protocol. All Terran ships, she said, voice steady. Move to defensive formation. Human ships shifted. Council commanders shouted in rage. You will start a war, they warned. Captain Morris answered calmly. Then you already chose one. Weapons locked. Time stretched. Then the dragon Daniel had fed lifted her head. With great effort she spoke. Not in fire but in thought. We will leave, her voice echoed across every channel. But we will not abandon those who showed us mercy. The leader dragon roared agreement. One by one, the dragons rose into the sky, surrounding the human ships instead of attacking them. The execution fleet hesitated, then stood down. Across the galaxy, fear turned into something else. Understanding. The choice had been made. Humanity had stood not with power, but with mercy. And the stars would never forget it. The silence after the standoff felt heavier than battle. No weapons fired. No worlds burned. Yet everyone watching knew something had changed forever. The Council fleet withdrew first. Their ships slipped back into hyperspace, not in victory, but in unease. They had expected humans to obey. They had expected fear. Instead, they had seen defiance born from compassion. The dragons did not celebrate. They stayed. They circled the ruined world slowly, guarding it as if it were sacred ground. Human ships remained as well, forming a quiet barrier in orbit. No side attacked. No side trusted the other fully. Daniel watched the sky from the broken street below. Emma sat beside the dragon's head, her small hand resting on warm scales. The dragon's breathing was stronger now. Human med technology and dragon biology worked together in strange harmony. Captain Morris came down in a shuttle. She removed her helmet when she approached Daniel. Her eyes were tired, but steady. You made it very hard for us to do the easy thing, she said. Daniel gave a weak smile. I didn't mean to start a galactic problem. She looked at the dragon. You didn't. You revealed one. Word spread quickly. Not all species agreed with the Council's retreat. Some called humans reckless. Others called them dangerous. A few quietly called them brave. Trade routes closed to human ships. Diplomatic channels went silent. Warnings spread. Do not align with Earth. Humanity stood alone. First. Then came the first message. A small border species sent medical supplies, no explanation attached. Another opened its space lanes, quietly. A third asked a single question. Are the stories true? Daniel became a symbol without trying to be. News feeds replayed the moment again and again. A human kneeling, offering food to a dragon. Commentators argued. Strategists warned. Philosophers listened. The dragons made their choice public soon after. Their leader broadcast a message across all known space, translated into every language. We were starving. We were hunted. We were becoming monsters to survive. One human chose to feed us instead of fearing us. We will remember this. Then the dragons did something no one expected. They moved, not to attack, to protect. Dragon patrols began appearing near human space, silently driving away pirates and raiders. Worlds that had ignored human distress calls suddenly found their enemies gone, burned away by dragon fire. No demands were made. No rewards asked. The galaxy panicked. Humans have tamed the dragons, some claimed. The dragons answered simply, we were never tamed. We chose. Back on the surface, Daniel packed what little remained of his belongings. Human evacuation was ready. Emma hugged the dragon tightly. Will you come with us? She asked softly. The dragon lowered her head, touching Emma's forehead with her own. Always near, little one. As the shuttle lifted off, Daniel looked down at the world of ashes. He had given away his last meal. In return, humanity had gained something no weapon could ever replace. Loyalty. And the galaxy began to understand a terrifying truth. Humans did not conquer with strength. They conquered with choice. Years passed. The galaxy did not forget. Human space changed first. Trade slowly returned, not because humans demanded it, but because others needed them. Worlds once hostile now requested human mediators. Conflicts that had burned for centuries ended in quiet meetings, not battles. Because where humans went, dragons followed. Not as weapons, as guardians. Above Earth, massive shapes sometimes crossed the sky, silent and calm. Children grew up knowing the sound of wings not as a warning, but as comfort. Daniel Reed lived on a rebuilt colony world, green and bright, far from the ashes where everything began. He worked quietly, helping design shelters for frontier worlds. He never sought attention. He never asked for honors. Emma grew strong. She ran beneath open skies and laughed without fear. She learned human history and dragon history too. She learned how close the galaxy had come to burning itself out of fear. Sometimes, when the stars were clear, the dragon came. She would land beyond the city, careful not to frighten anyone. Her scars were still there, reminders of hunger and war, but her eyes were bright now. Emma would run to her. The dragon would lower her head, and the girl would rest her forehead against warm scales, just as she had long ago. You saved us, the dragon once said to Daniel. He shook his head. No, I just shared a meal. The dragon watched the human city in silence. That is what saved us. Across the galaxy, a new law was written into the Council's records, not as command, but as warning. Never underestimate a species willing to starve so another may live. History books would call it the turning point. Strategists would argue over it. But the truth was simple. A hungry dragon met a human father, and kindness proved stronger than fire. The end.